Hi, I'm Martin CEO at Moneythor, and welcome to the Deep Banking Podcast. So today I'm pleased to have Mohammed Wassim Khayata, CEO of Maryah Community Bank with me. So good morning, Mohammed Wassim.
Good morning, Martin. Thank you for having me here.
Let's start off a little bit easy. Why don't you share a bit about Maryah Community Bank so our listeners understand what your bank is all about?
Okay, so our bank has came to existence with the idea of serving the community. So we are a community bank. The name is Maryah Community Bank. The bank chose to have digital to capture on the opportunity of the digital first services and platforms to enhance customer experience, take advantage and create value to customers in each and every journey of their financial well-being. So the bank was established in 2021. Today we have more than 500,000 customers. We are involved in lots of new technologies. Today, the bank, other than the classical banking services of current accounts, savings accounts, loans, and cards, and business banking, we provide blockchain-based solutions. So the bank has introduced the first stablecoin regulated by the Central Bank of UAE, and we're working to have an adoption of crypto banking by having or creating other banks like the Changer, which is ADGM regulated, as well as Mcoin investment.
Now, this all sounds very innovative. You know, that's not what you typically expect from a community bank. You think of deposits, of mortgages, etc. What do you think is changing in the banking world that made you come up with these more innovative offerings?
Actually, Martin, today customers are asking for something different from the way we used to bank and provide banking to them. One and foremost, customers today want everything instant. They want to use their mobile phone. They want to have an intelligent solution, smart solutions. They want speed. They want transparency. They want sustainability. They want everything from their point of view, but they don't know how to have all of these. So a bank like ourselves and taking in mind the new shape of the future, the last 5 years witnessed a lot of changes with the customer expectation, regulatory framework, advanced technologies. The merge of three have resulted in providing something new to the community. So the community itself has advanced. The community as we know it 20 years ago is different than the community we know and we see today.
Now, when you look a little bit beyond Maryah Community Bank and you think about the wider banking industry in UAE or in the Middle East, do you think you are unique, or do you see others following your path and picking up the same themes?
Having in mind what's happening in the world, regionally and globally, I think banks are considering to do digital transformation. So having that said, the DNA of a classical bank who's moving to a digitization experience or digital experience is different from the DNA of a newborn bank. So a newborn bank will have more flexibility. It will start from zero. It will have no legacy. It will use the advantage of a new cloud computing, generative AI, agentic AI, will use data science, and will use deep banking. So these are important aspects for banks to come in and provide services. As such, we've been witnessing regionally and internationally a creation of digital-only banks or neobanks. And these neobanks adopt technology to provide the best of service within different DNA, different organization structure, different customer experience, different product offerings that is more agile and more interactive with hyper-personalized solutions.
Now, when you were mentioning legacy, do you think that legacy in traditional banks, is it more the technology or is it the structure, organization, and mindsets? What do you think?
Well, from my experience, it's both, Martin. So it comes with the mindset. The mindset of a bank is basically board, senior management, and CEO. And then you have departments, you have the treasury, the retail, the corporate, the human resources. Each department work in silos. So the biggest challenge is in the mindset, how you make it more efficient, more delayered, more interactive with what's going on with the customer. So that's from the first. The second is the legacy systems in terms of technology, in terms of how the bank is used to provide services, in terms of how the bank sees the future, and whether the bank needs to build an in-house, having all the programmers, full IT department, or go beyond and see with other solution and get to manage the risks and the challenges of outsourced technology solutions by fintechs.
Okay, I see that. So I guess mindset structure can be as hindering as a lack of good technology. Now, still, I guess you are competing on very similar target segments. So what does the typical Marryah Community Bank, M-Bank, M-Wallet client look like? What is the typical profile of your client?
So when we started, we thought we will be the mid-lower, but we discovered two things during our journey. Now we are in the fourth year. The first thing we discovered is that everyone wants a mobile-based seamless onboarding, a mobile-based banking services, quick and efficient. Everybody, literally everybody. So this encouraged us during our journey to get into investment banking, where we provide a digital experience of initial public offerings in the UAE. And we saw that has really had attraction for our customers. So it's all segments. And we further are developing an investment company regulated by the Securities and Commodity Authority to provide one-stop shop for financial well-being, starting from spending to saving and harnessing wellness, financial wellness.
Okay, so it's kind of a very complete offering to your target segments. Now, talking about segments, there is, since a long time in the industry, is this, let's say, buzzword hype of the segment of one. So you kind of try to be as targeted as possible, especially on the experience side. But I guess that's sometimes difficult on the product side because you need to have a set of products available for multiple people. So how do you handle this conflict, or how do you do that?
I think before 2010, the way banks segment customers is different than after 2010. And even though all of this is different than 2020. So how is that different? If you remember, Martin, we used to segment customers by gender, by nationality, by income.
Correct.
And that segmentation today doesn't work because that is not as proactive as it should be. And then after 2010, we started to work on data science. We used to study at the data, customer data, transactions, to upsell and cross-sell, and to have the product mix value and have more efficiency. That is all a different ball game than today's. So today, it's more focused on enhancing customer experience and pushing what customers should do. So we're talking about the era of artificial intelligence. The way ChatGPT showed us what is the potential of data management and real-time customer enhancement with all the information. I think today deep banking has come up to the surface. The way we define deep banking is integrating financial transactions with customers' personal life. So by merging both, you'll create a value in each and every journey of the customer in his banking with any bank in general.
Now, Wassim, if I understand you correctly, this also moves then banking into a more proactive space because so far in the past, if you had an overdraft on your account, you got an angry letter from your bank that you should settle your overdraft. But now with this new data in place, you could proactively warn your clients, say, hey, we see an overdraft coming. Why don't you do X, Y, Z? Is this a right interpretation, or how do you see that?
Absolutely. Now, today, budgeting is part of the banking. Uh, if a customer is behaving, let's say, to buy coffee from a certain shop that is more expensive, AI should tell him there's another coffee shop with high rating with cheaper. So this will save you X amount of money that will help you to get the target of buying Z. So definitely, this is a proactive, as you said. It's becoming more in demand, and I think banks who will be able to invest and capture on this opportunity will have the biggest share of customer loyalty and will have the biggest profitability and will change the way we know banking today.
I think it also creates a better experience, because we're all used to these Netflix experiences, and I think banks are still lagging behind a bit because we did some research in Latin America, and research showed that clients talk two times about their banks. Once when they're onboarding, choosing a bank, and secondly when they have a problem, but they never talk about the bank otherwise. And I think you want to change that, correct?
Absolutely. Netflix is a good example. When I open my Netflix, it suggests to me, based on what I see, a movie or a series. So banking definitely is going to that direction, even though it's not as good as Netflix today. But I think banks are adopting vertical segmentation. So there's a specialization in each and every angle of the financial well-being of each and every customer. So this is where technology is enhancing. This is where fintech is playing a very important role. So fintechs today have lots of creativity, open banking, from a regulatory point of view, the cloud computing, the sustainable banking concept in general have opened all these doors for the banking industry to enhance its services to provide the financial well-being to its customers.
Now, Wassim, you were mentioning AI, ChatGPT, agentic AI, and I always challenge my guests a bit in the podcast because it's, of course, a buzzword everyone has to say nowadays. But how do you really use that in your environment? Can you give us an example of real application of AI in your bank?
So chatbots, for example, even though I don't like chatbots because throughout our experience, we found chatbots to be a bit boring. So generative AI has provided a technology that can read all the information and can make it available to customers in a chatbot. I think we tried to adopt these solutions, but the result was not as satisfactory as we want them to be. We further explored the opportunities of AI, and we have discovered the agentic AI, which I think is magic. We have tried agentic AI. It talks to you, it's more with emotional intelligence. So it talks to you as a human being. It has emotions. It can be upset. It can be happy. So it's more engaging. It's voice based. It has all these tools with real time analysis, real time data science, data mining that makes customer experience at the best. As humans, when we talk about agents, a human as agents, they have emotions. Sometimes they're not at their best each and every time. So consistency is the challenge we have in banking when we serve our customers. So even though I'm the same person would like to service Martin, it's not I can do the same thing every time. It depends on how much did I sleep, did I take my coffee or not. With agentic AI, they are consistent, they're excellent. One would say, would they take over human jobs? I think it's not that bad. It will enhance the product offering, product experience, and it will create other jobs for our employees and staff to provide more efficient, and accordingly, it will have all the economical return on the bank itself and its employees.
I actually agree with you. I don't think it will replace humans. It will change our jobs like technology generally does all the time. I think what agentic AI could replace are predefined customer journeys because we are experimenting with agentic AI as well. So we put all the Moneythor APIs into a agentic server, And now you can completely, in a conversational style, not dependent on some predefined menu in your mobile banking, come to what you really want to know, your biggest transaction of the month or whatever. So I think it will revolutionize customer journeys, in my view.
I totally agree. So today, I think banks started already to explore this opportunity. In our case, we are a bit ahead. So we have implemented Moneythor. We're happy to work with you guys. We found it will have a lot of advantages for customers to be aware, first of all, of what they do. The only thing is that we need to educate our customers that with time they can see the advantage of this solution. And I think with having your agentic solution the way you described will definitely add a lot of value, and it will navigate customers through their financial challenges the same way we have Google Earth. So it tells you when it's busy or when it's not busy, what's the most efficient way to reach to your goal. In the same way, I think agentic AI and having the artificial intelligence as a platform for the personal financial manager to be in a banking application, that I think is going to be revolutionary, and it will really provide better service and will get better returns to the banking industry in general.
I fully agree. I fully agree. Now in our client base, we have clients from Guatemala to Japan, so they are at very different stage of their evolution, development. So, what kind of advice would you give to a bank that is maybe not as progressed as you are? Of course, without giving away your secret sauce. But how should I go about all of this? Where shall I start to get a deeper relationship and a better banking experience?
A very good question. I think it's important for banks who would like to consider new way of banking and try to understand what's new. I think they should do a gap analysis with the best benchmarks. I'm not saying our bank, but there are lots of banks internationally in Brazil, in Guatemala. They can see and identify a gap. And once they find that there is a real gap, I think they need to sit together and say, what do we want to do? Do we want to adopt these technologies? Do we want to have more efficiency? And efficiency has two sides, the side of the bank and the side of the customer. And it's interesting how it's holistic. Today, we can speak about holistic financial well-being and financial management. When I say holistic, it starts from customers and ends with the bank and interactively. So once they understand the gap and identify the goals of enhancements, I think they need to see into their organizational readiness. Is the organization of the bank ready to do this? So it's maybe a kind of change management. You need maybe to get some consultants who would really put the bricks and the important pillars of a new way of banking using AI, because AI is a culture to me and is not a technology. So if we all are using Chat GPT for every day, I mean, I just used Chat GPT before coming here. Maybe you've used Chat GPT. This is the way we Google things, the new way. So how would I move a classical bank to use Chat GPT in the work environment? That's key. And that's about change management. Once it's all that set, then you can put priorities on what are the important milestones and objectives that you need to start with. So maybe you need to start with some quick wins, whereby you can implement some of the AI. Where we have found a value of using AI is our call center. So as you know, call center are heavy with staff, and it's heavy operations with people talking all the time, and it's like working 24 hours. I think it's a very good implementation to see how would AI service customers in a better manner, how AI can detect fraud and provide better security, how AI can provide better banking services, better loyal customers, better way of giving personalized loyalty programs. For example, the way you should give your customers' points for like a mid or lower end labor different than the person with high income. So I think personalization is important, and technology can only take you there.
Okay, so to summarize that, it tallies a bit back to what we discussed before about legacy and new world. So it's not only technology, it's also mindset, the way you work, the culture of your environment, and then find a quick win and start and have the team success and build on that. Is this a fair summary? What you just
Absolutely,
said.
absolutely.
Now you triggered another thought in me. You know, you were mentioning financial wellness, for example. Now, there are countries like Brazil where it's driven by regulation. So they issued a new regulation, regulation number 8, which says that the banks are in charge of the financial well being of their clients, which puts a lot on work on the bank side to around financial literacy, education, make sure they understand the products you sell them. Do you see similar things happening in UAE, or is this something that you drive as a bank, or how do you see that?
This is very smart. I like the idea. I didn't know before that Brazil has this regulation
You
number
just
8.
launched it, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it puts a lot of responsibility on the banks. I think today ESG is one of the most important things that banks have to consider. So part of sustainability, I think banks understand most about the financial well-being, same as doctors. So it reminds me of doctors, how important they are to make sure that their patients are aware of their situation and they give them the best solution, and they do a program together for the best treatment. So having that said, this tells that how banking is changing. I think in UAE, the UAE Central Bank is very progressive. They have enacted lots of regulations. The number of regulations that the central bank have issued the last 3 years are maybe more than the regulations issued 5 years and before of the life of the central bank. Open finance has lots of open doors, but the responsibility of the financial well-being to be on the banks itself, I think that is a very long shot. I think that's very important long-term strategy. It requires a lot of study before the regulation comes out, but I'm sure what happened in Brazil was a result of years and years of research and consultation with the banking sector. But I would love really to work on it to make it part of the regulation, and this puts a challenge on each and every bank and will tell customers who is the bank that can live up to this expectation. So it will help customers to have better relationship with banks who understand their needs in a better way.
I actually very much like your comparison with the doctor, because if I see the doctor is not responsible that I'm sick if I'm drinking and smoking all the time.
Yeah.
But I think the doctor has an obligation to give me good advice. So he can tell me maybe you should drink less or smoke less. And that's maybe,
Yeah.
when you look at the bank, very similar. You say you should maybe take less loans out for luxury things and invest into education or things like this. So I actually really like your comparison with the doctor. That's a very good one, Wassim. Now we're slowly coming to an end of the podcast. We could, of course, talk for hours. I guess there's so many interesting topics. Is there one thing you would like to mention that I didn't ask you?
Well, it's. I'd like to. You brought up the topic of deep banking. We at Al Maryah Bank, we have recently got into an agentic AI based for deep learning. So we're seeing how we will be able to manage customer data to provide the value of banking and to provide the best advice to our customers. One important topic, which is also we are doing, which is the blockchain. So we are an early adopters of the blockchain technology. Blockchain and AI today are like the two wings of an airplane of the bank, and the blockchain provides trust, transparency, faster transaction with no cost. So I think blockchain on AI will change the way we know banking, and banks have to think about this a lot.
Okay, now unfortunately, then that's not the end of the podcast because you trigger my next question. Because
Okay.
we have a client in Japan. He's using blockchain and NFTs to create rewards. Because Japanese are big collectors, they like these anime figures and things, and so they create rewards, NFT rewards on blockchain for their clients. That's maybe also food for thought for mBank or mWallet to think along those lines.
Yes, definitely. Rewarding customers is important, as you know, and customers needs to be rewarded for the thing they do well. So we at our bank, I was sitting with some friends who are good in blockchain technology and some ideas. We're talking about a program to tokenize, to connect the the health well-being with the financial well-being.
Okay.
So to reward customers when they do something good. Why is that important to banks? Because we are involved in giving money, and it's important to make sure that people they have longevity and they are healthy, so they are well behaved in terms of their healthy issues. They don't get into problem. As they say, a good mind is in a good body. So that leads you to a good financial well-being. So connecting both using maybe blockchain-based NFTs and rewarding customers for their financial and healthy well-being, I think that's smart. We are talking with my friends on how can we adopt this, and I think that will be revolutionary.
Okay, that was really an excellent conversation, Wasim. I see Al Maryah Bank under your leadership is on a great track to create deep banking relationships with your clients. Thank you very much for this podcast, Wasim.
Thank you, Martin, for having me.